Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with Landon Stewart from clientsandcommunity.com, and we are missing out on Chris Stapleton, but we will have fun without him. We are going to be talking about building client-getting Facebook groups, and Chris and Landon got their start by consulting with 7- and 8-figure brands, helping them build thriving communities around their programs and generate millions with additional revenue. And we are going to talk about the way that Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's marketing team said that Landon and Chris are revolutionizing, can't talk today, that's okay, the way coaches market online. And so it's not just me, revolutionizing the way coaches market online. So we're talking about Facebook groups, how to do it, what the secrets are. Landon, glad to be talking to you.
Robert, thanks so much for having me on today, man. I'm really excited to be here, provide some value.
And I am excited to have you on here. And it seems like you always hear about that, right? Provide value, but it's easier said than done, right? And there's always that problem of saying like, well, I have to figure out what's the next post I'll make on social media, or am I gonna like go into some group and like ask some question and get all these comments, make all these reach outs, all these messages. It seems like a big mess. It seems like a select few have this community thing figured out, and a lot of people are just kind of spinning their wheels, playing around, but not getting a lot of results. So what the heck are a lot of us missing out on? What's the secret?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's exactly what I can touch on here today. You know, we're Stapes and I, so again, Chris, he couldn't be with us here today, but Stapes and I, we've gotten really, really good at Facebook groups. We've been doing Facebook groups now for almost 5 years. So we met each other back at the end of 2015. We had a mutual mentor. His name is Mark Hoverson. He was kind of like a godfather of kind of the internet marketing industry in a way. He kind of came up with Russell Brunson and those guys early on. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2018 due to cancer. But I flew out to an event that he was hosting at the end of 2015. I met Mark for the very first time. I met Stapes for the very first time. And the three of us, we all kind of like hit it off. And so Mark, he had a couple of companies that he was building. And so he brought Stapes and I in to kind of work with him inside of his companies, almost in like an apprenticeship type role. And he was a massive culture guy. He even consulted with the NFL and their youth programs and their culture and community and things like that. So he's this big culture guy. And he had a Facebook group of a few thousand clients that he had generated over, a decade of internet marketing. And so it was inside of this client Facebook group that Mark starts teaching Stapes and I how to really rally and lead communities. So he taught us how to write in a way that's compelling, how to do videos and speak in a way that's compelling, in a way that rallies people and things like this. And over the span of a couple of years, we got really, really good at it to where this client group was like popping with energy. And so it was January of 2018, a couple of years in, where we get the idea of like, what if we took this stuff that works so well in a client Facebook group and we brought it to like an open public Facebook group that anybody could join, and instead of a way to serve clients, use it as a way to generate clients. And we had seen others kind of doing it. So we started our very first group back in January 2018. And like you just touched on, and what a lot of you probably have experienced, once we started the group, we had no idea what to do next. It's like, okay, so we've got the group. It's like, now what? How do we get people to like join this thing at scale? How do we convert the people into clients? What do we talk about inside of the group that like builds value with the people inside? And we're in like the coaching space too. So it's like, how can we provide value in a way that people like us without giving like everything away? So there's still incentive to like purchase from us. So how do we do all these things? And so it took us a couple of years to really figure it out. We started getting kind of pretty good at it towards the end of 2019. And then January of this year, about 2 years into kind of the group game, we started a brand new group from scratch. And this year, in the last 11 months, we've grown it from 0 to nearly 20,000 people. We've done about $3 million in revenue inside of that thing. And now today we work with a lot of clients on kind of how they can build these groups for themselves.
Craziness. And I mean, you were talking about like all these things, like there's like 20 problems at once, right? Like you said, right. There's like I started the group. Now what? How do we get people in it? How do we keep people excited, engaged, talking, find the time for that? How do we deliver some cool value, but also leave them thirsty enough to pay us money? And so yeah, you said that. So this year is when things are really taking off. So like, were there any like roadblocks along the way, like building to like 20,000 members? Like, did it like level off, or did you have difficulties at like 5,000 or 10,000, or was it just smooth sailing the whole time?
So this year, it's been pretty streamlined. Our first couple of years, though, it wasn't at all. So when we started, so I can kind of, so when we work with our clients, there's three things we typically help with. It's, number one, growth. Number two, content. What do you say in the group? And then number two, the conversion piece. And so for us, the first big struggle that we had, the first big roadblock is, like, how do we get folks joining the group? And so for us, when we first started our group, there was no one like running ads in the Facebook groups at the time. Even today, we're probably some of the only people that do it, us and our clients and the people that copy us. But there was no one running ads in the groups in 2018. And so everyone was kind of like the other people that are teaching groups. We bought some courses and things. And like the way to do it is kind of what you touched on at the very beginning. It's like what you do is you go into other people's Facebook groups, you provide value in their groups. And by provide value, what they really mean is you poach people from their Facebook groups. You get them to add you as a friend, and then you hope that they eventually will find your Facebook group, and you just like sling DMs, right? That was kind of like the growth method in 2018. And we did some of that in the beginning. It actually kind of started working a little bit. We started getting like 20, 30 people a day joining your group. What we found though was a lot of the people joining the group at that time, they weren't super qualified. They weren't really targeted. They weren't really the people that we wanted to join our Facebook group. So our group is growing, but we still weren't creating revenue from it. I can touch on more of that here in a second. And then it was about the midway through 2019. So Stapes and I, before we started Facebook groups, we were both kind of like paid ad guys. That's kind of where we both got our start. Where we both had our first success was running paid ads. So we're like, what if we took like these principles of paid advertising that we used to do and we applied them into this Facebook group and we ran ads to the group? Like what would happen? So it was like middle of 2019, we started kind of playing around with running ads to the group. We didn't really figure out the best way to do it until about January this year. And so today, we've grown the group this year from 0 to 20,000 people. Like 80 to 90% of that growth isn't organic. Like we're not posting other people's groups at all. We don't DM anybody at all. We grow a group by about 100 to 150 people a day. And it all comes from paid advertising. So we run ads on Facebook into the Facebook group. And there's a little strategy behind that I can touch on in a second.
Okay. And I'm 90% sure I've seen your guys' ads, but you know how it is these days, all the ads kind of look the same and they all sort of run together. And but I don't think I've joined the group. I think I've joined a couple other groups that are like named like blank and blank. So that's might be why I'm getting a little bit confused. But so you're throwing out some cool, crazy, huge numbers, right? Because sometimes when you talk about like, especially like growing a group, it's like, well, how fast is good, right? And so you're saying like these numbers like the old school way of kind of the hard manual poach people one at a time was like 20 to 25, I think I heard. But then now with running the ads, we're saying 100 to 150. And I mean, about how much like time commitment is that tweaking the ads, and about how much like ad spend is that, just to get an idea?
Yeah. So right now we spend very little time on the campaigns. So when we place the campaigns, we kind of just let them run. Now that we're spending a few $1,000s a day, we actually have help. So we've hired on help who helps like manage the day-to-day technology of the ads. But even in the beginning, when we were spending just, $20 a day, $100 a day, when we were spending so much time managing it, we'd kind of write a campaign. And then what we found is typically the campaign will last for about 4 or 5 months. So we can kind of let that kind of like that style of campaign kind of last for about 4 or 5 months. So every 4 months or so, we kind of sit back, we rewrite a campaign. So it's not a lot of time spent, which is really nice, because that was one of the major problems with the organic side. Not only were a lot of the people, not super like quality, but on top of that, like the time commitment to get those 20 people a day joining the group organically was insane. You know what I mean? When we're posting 1 or 2 times a day inside of other people's groups, growing their audience, not even focus on our own group. So it was a lot. Whereas now today, with paid ads, it's so scalable, like we were able to, for one, target people. So we can target people based on interest and also the words we use in the ad to attract people that are in our target market and be likely to purchase. But it's also super scalable. So today, right now, we spend about $20 per group member. So it's not cheap per group member. Some of our clients are able to get group members a little cheaper than that. Some are getting in the 5 to 10. we're really looking for a little bit more of a sophisticated buyer, because that's kind of our ideal client. So we pay a little bit more per lead than even some of our clients do. So we're paying about $20 a lead, getting about, 100 to 150 people a day joining the group. So we're spending around $3,000 a day right now. So about 100 grand a month.
Nice. And I mean, that had better pay off, right? If you're
Yeah.
spending that much, you better be making that back and then some, right?
Yeah. So I mean, on the year so far this year, we've spent about 500 grand on ads to do about 3 million in revenue. So yeah, we're at about a 1 to 6. Some of our clients on smaller, but as you scale the ad spend that much, to multiple thousands a day, the return on advertising kind of goes down a little bit. We have clients that are in like the 8 to 10x range on like a few $100 a day ad budget.
Dang. Well, and so when you're running these ads and when you're promoting the group, like, I mean, what do you say, right? Because it seems like, well,
Yeah.
there's this group, and I guess there's like a topic and like a promised result and things like that. But I don't know, like me as a Facebook user, I'm like, well, do I need to join yet another group? So when I see like an ad from you, like, what's the hook? What's the draw of like joining a group?
For sure. So a couple of things when it comes to running ads. So I'll touch on copy in a sec. First, I'll talk about kind of like some of the strategy around it. Then I'll touch on some copy and kind of how we do it. I mean, the ads themselves are very simple. So some of the strategy, so when we first started attempting to do it, what we found out pretty quick is you're not allowed to run an ad from Facebook directly into a Facebook group. Facebook doesn't like it because they don't like any Facebook link being advertised on the Facebook platform, because they don't want to tie their brand to your brand. So it's not that they don't want you growing your group fast or anything. It's just they don't want you using their name in your advertising. And so in the beginning, we saw this as like a problem. What we ended up doing that solved the problem and actually ended up being kind of like a magical piece of our process is today when we run the ads and we say, hey, join our Facebook group, and I'll touch on some of the copy pieces in a second. But today when we run those ads, when people click the link, it doesn't go right into the group. So it's like, hey, click here to join the group. When they click that link, it actually takes them to a typical standard landing page where it's like, hey, join our Facebook group. Inside, we touch on this, this, and this. Just simply, where would you like us to send your invitation to? That's the verbiage we use. And then they type in their name, email address, and phone number. And so now our group might grow slightly slower based on that because it's one extra step before they can join the group. But what happens is, number one, we're compliant with Facebook. Number two is, we've generated the 20,000 group members this year. But on top of that, we built an email list of over 40,000 people and a text message list of close to 20,000 people as well. So we're also building our assets outside of the Facebook platform to protect us in case, obviously, we don't own the Facebook group. So if anything ever happened to the group, we'd have those lists stored elsewhere. Then we also use those other lists to help supercharge the group. And I'll touch on that in a sec in kind of the content portion. But then, so when it comes to the ad copy though, our stuff is so simple. I mean, our ads is basically want us to help you with blank. So it's like, our market, we work with coaches. We help them build Facebook groups. So it's like, are you a coach? Do you want us to help you build a profitable Facebook group, right? Essentially. So it's like, want help with blank. And then like you get a little yes, you know what I mean? Then below it's like, join our free Facebook group for this audience segment. And it's like inside we have these topics. We list off 3 to 4 bullet points. Tap here to join right now. So the ad itself is super simple and it works really well.
Nice. And I can just tell how excited you are about this and how much fun you've had kind of solving this problem, because I mean, yeah, you're right. Like the whole running an ad to a group, I mean, it's never been very straightforward. And like, remember those days of having to like make a page and then put a post on your page, linking to the group, and then boosting or running an ad just to that post? It was so convoluted and so weird. But I mean, your way makes a lot more sense. And everything that you're explaining here is super duper simple, right? Do you want help with this? Here's a headline. Here's some bullet points. And also it's a little bit of like marketing common sense there, but it's so easy. It's easy to forget to do it, getting your people on multiple platforms for whatever reason, right? Like Zuckerberg might put down the ban hammer. Some people might prefer other platforms to others. And I mean, that's just kind of in my head, hearing you explaining kind of your thought process there of collecting the email and the phone number and then sending them back to the group. That's just a good idea in general, right? Like if we have too much of an email list, get them on Facebook also. Too much on Facebook, getting on an email list just in general. So that way we have multiple ways of reaching some of these people. So you said that, and you said a few times here that there's like a copywriting piece to this, right? As far as like keeping people like awake and engaged and responding. So what do we need to know about copywriting? Because like when you think copywriting, sometimes you think about like ads, landing pages, but then not always so much about your Facebook posts. But I mean, it's still really important on Facebook, right?
100%. So, piece number one is getting people to join the group. Again, we do that. We love doing that through paid advertising. There's a myriad of ways you can use, but we prefer paid advertising. So more scalable, a little more targeted, things like that. Then from there, yeah, then it's like, okay, because here's basically what happens, especially as you grow your group at scale. In the beginning, if you launch the group to your personal network, a lot of the people joining the group, they might know you a little bit. Once you start like scaling your group and you start growing your group by 20 people a day, 50 a day, 100 a day, whatever it is, what happens is the majority of people who join the group, they don't know you that well yet. And because they don't know you that well yet, they're not really ready to make a purchase decision. They're not ready to buy something from you right away. And obviously our end goal with the group is to generate clients. You know what I mean? Like we look at the group as a highly intentional, well thought out, well-designed sales process. You know what I mean? And so our end goal is like client acquisition. And most of the people join the group, they don't know who we are. And so they're not ready to purchase from us yet. And so we use the content in the group to kind of warm people up to our thinking. Now, a lot of the mistakes we see people making with their content in their group is a couple of things that they're doing wrong. Some people, they post way too much inside of their group, which might seem counterintuitive because we have clients that come to us initially and they're posting their group like 2 to 3 times a day. And some people, it's like the more you post, the better your result will be. And that's not always the case. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in kind of like the coaching expertise style of niche. If you're drowning people out with your free content inside of the group, essentially in their mind, they're like, why would I need to join the paid thing if I can't even consume all of the free content. Like I've got everything right here for free. So some people actually post too much in the group. Some might post too little. The number that we really like with our group and that we kind of have our clients doing is they're posting in our group about 2 to 3 times a week. So we're spending about 2 to 3 hours a week posting content inside of our group. There's a few key posts that we'll do in our group. So number one is we do a weekly live stream that we host inside of our group, same time, same day, every single week. We've been doing that inside of our group for about 2 years in a row now. And that's really, we call this our pillar content. So it's a big value add. People really get to see us. They get to really engage. We'll engage right there because we're live with them. So we answer their exact questions. It's like a two-way communication type thing. Plus at the end, it also opens up a sales opportunity for us each week too, where we have a micro call to action to work with us. And I'll touch on that more in kind of the conversion piece. But we do that every single week. On top of that, we might do like a written value post, or we might do, a question post or something like that. One of the big things though with us when it comes to Facebook groups, that makes us very unique, and it actually ties back into the growth of our Facebook group is, we spend less time creating content than we do promoting the content that we create. So a lot of people, they go kind of like wide with, or, they kind of go like, wide with their content where they're creating as much content as possible. Whereas we really like to go deep with content, create a few really good pieces of content, but then have everybody see it. So what we do is anytime we do a live stream or a value post or whatever it is inside of our group that we want people to see, we'll take the link to that post and we'll go to that email list that we've been building of 40,000 people and the text message list of 20,000 people. And it's like, hey, we just finished up a live stream, or hey, we're doing a live stream in 5 minutes. Tap here and watch it, or tap here and read this value post. So what we do is we supercharge all of the content in the group from our email list and our text message list. And what this does, and this is this is one of the most ninja secrets ever when it comes to groups. So essentially what happens is a lot of people think that when you do a post on social media, everyone sees that content, which that's not how the algorithm works. How the algorithm works is you drop something on Facebook or Instagram. Every algorithm is essentially the same. You drop something, Facebook will show that piece of content to a small portion of your audience, so a small portion of your group members. And then Facebook will essentially identify how is this piece of content performing with the people it's showing it to. Are they reading the content? Are they liking it? Are they commenting on it? What's the engagement like with this piece of content? If the engagement in the first hour or so is really good, it tells Facebook, hey, this is a good piece of content. Let's show it to more people. because Facebook, their end goal obviously is to have the best performing content shown to the most people so that people stay on the platform the longest. And so we kind of hacked that in a sense to where when we do a post, we immediately email and text that out. It gets a big boost of engagement right away, tells Facebook this post is popping, and then Facebook will go and show it to a bunch more people organically on their own.
And I mean, I feel like we've touched on so many like marketing fundamentals, and it's like it's cool to hear it like in your words and from your thought process, because this is all like in a lot of ways like new cutting edge, right? Talking about like Facebook groups and like their algorithm and all that, but also it's like everything old is new again, right? And it's all like kind of the tried and true, like even some of like the split testing things. But the big thing that sticks out for me as far as your strategy here is that like with content creation of any kind, it's tempting to do like that machine gun that you mentioned there, where it's tempting to say, let me make 5 posts a day, right? Let me put 10 things on YouTube every week. And it's like, you see so many people doing that where they'll put all kinds of posts in whatever platform and there'll be hardly any views, but just so much content. And I have to remind myself, okay, put like 20% of my time into the content itself and 80% of the time marketing it. You get way more bang for your buck there. And so so this is all like really great for us to listen to and be thinking about as far as like the old and the new. And it's really reassuring too to hear from you that we only have to post a few times per week, right? It's not like even like a full-time task. It's just do like a live stream once per week, do a written post or a text post, and then spend other time just getting more people showing up like into the funnel, so to speak. And then so that leads us to something that we've kind of hinted at a few times every few minutes in this interview is, what the heck do you do if you built the group, you're growing it, you're putting content out there, but it's not converting, or you would like it to convert? Then what's the answer?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because that's obviously, again, like I touched on it a second ago, but the end goal of this whole group thing is client acquisition. So it's not enough to grow it and provide content, get a bunch of engagement. You know what I mean? Like our group is super engaged, but like likes don't pay the bills. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you've got to get customers, you got to get clients from the group. And so here's kind of how we do it. So one of the things that we learned early on with our Facebook group is that what works on other platforms doesn't necessarily work in the group. And the reason being is just the nature of what Facebook is. You know, Facebook itself is a social platform, not a shopping platform. People aren't popping on Facebook to go shopping. They're popping on Amazon to go shopping. So they're not really in a buying state when they open up their Facebook app. They're really looking for entertainment. They're looking for education, and they're looking to be a part of a conversation. Okay. And so we're like, what works on an email list isn't going to work quite as well inside of a Facebook group. So we've got to adjust our strategy a little bit. And so over the past couple of years, we've invented a strategy we now today call it our undercover conversion method, which essentially the idea of it is we're selling inside of our group really, really hard. I mean, last month we generated 61 clients from our Facebook group. We're doing a few $100,000 a month from the group right now. And if you were to go in our group, to the naked eye, it'd look like there's no selling happening in the group. It's like, where's all the money coming from in this group? And so the way that we do it is very unique. Okay. So the core goal of our Facebook group is one thing and one thing only, and that's to generate a conversation with us. Okay. So in the beginning, the conversation, when I say conversation, I mean a messenger and then a phone conversation. Because again, we want to move people from a social platform where they're not really in a buying state into more of a buying type platform, which messenger and phone is more built for that. So in the beginning, it was Stapes and I having all the conversations. I'll talk about how we generate those, how we conduct those in a second. In the beginning was us. Today we have a team. So whether you're a solopreneur or whether you've got a little team, a sales team or whatever it is, you can do this either way. So today our team does all of this, but our end goal with every single person joining the Facebook group is how can we get them having a conversation with us? And there's a myriad of different ways that we do this. So one of our core secret strategies that we're now seeing kind of all over Facebook right now, a lot of people are doing it, kind of copying what we started doing a little while back, is when people join the Facebook group. So when people join your group, you're allowed to have approval questions, right? You can have three questions that people must answer to be able to get access to the group. So we have our 3 questions. Our third question, though, is basically like, hey, we help blank do this. Would you like us to reach out and explain how? So if you're in like the dating niche, it's like, I help, busy professionals meet the love of their life. Would you like me to reach out and explain how we do this, or whatever it is, right? I help so-and-so accomplish so-and-so. Would you like me to reach out? So right now we have 100 to 150 people a day joining the group, and about half of those say yes to that question. So every day we get 50 to 75 people raising their hand as they're joining the group saying, hey, I want to have a conversation with you about what it is that you do, right? So you could do the math in your business. That could be 10 yeses a day, could be 20 yeses a day, depending on how fast your group is growing. But all of a sudden, that's like sales opportunities that are just bountiful. And there's a myriad of different ways that we get the conversations. We do it at the end of, our live streams. We do it every couple of weeks. We'll do kind of a post in the group that's like, hey, would you like to have a conversation with us about working together? So there's a myriad of different ways we get those conversations. The main thing, though, our kind of secret sauce, is the way we conduct the conversations, right? So again, like I touched on with the content, the majority of the people who join the Facebook group, they don't know who we are yet. So like them just raising their hand saying, hey, I'd like to have a conversation with you, isn't them raising their hand saying, hey, I'm ready to purchase your product. You know what I mean? So if our guys reached out and were like, hey, I saw that you're ready to buy, here's the link, it probably wouldn't get very many sales. We need to warm those people up. And what a lot of people do is they just hope people will come into the group and like they hope people will see their top content. But like we're business owners, we don't want to rely on hope at all in our business strategy. You know what I mean? So what we do, and we call it our super introduction sequence. Okay. So what we do is our team will reach out and it's like, hey, saw you wanted someone to reach out to kind of see how we might be able to help. Before I do that, like what's going on with your business right now? Let me kind of find out what's going on right now. So, cause we're in the business niche. If you're in the dating niche, like what's going on with your dating life right now? And so what our team will do is they'll find out what challenges they're currently facing, and then they'll pair that person with live streams that we've hosted inside of our group that solve that exact challenge. So they're like, I'm struggling with like lead flow. It's like, yeah, you've got to watch this. This is how we grow our group by 100 people a day. Or it's like, I'm struggling with blank. It's like, you've got to watch this. So that like weekly live stream that we host also becomes really, really valuable when it comes to nurturing leads. And we'll tag them in and follow up with them and make sure that they are watching that. And then once people watch like a couple of videos, they typically reach back out to us and like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like, how can I work with you guys?
That's amazing. And what you're making me think of is there have been so many groups I've joined where just that was it, right? It was, I joined and maybe there were those couple of questions and then I looked at it once and then I was like, I guess I'll see that group on my newsfeed. And if Facebook decides it's not worth showing, I'll never see it again. And then there's a very small, I could probably count on one hand, a few groups I've joined where someone reached out and maybe said hi, maybe there was that. And then maybe like one other time there was like, hey, we thought you might want to check out this post. And like that stuck out to me. And like so few people do that. And you were mentioning a few times, like there's like, here's this secret sauce or here's this like secret strategy. But I mean, that alone, right, is you have people join your group and you send a quick message. And then like you said, you figure out what their challenge is and then route them over to that existing content. I mean, it seems like it would be like time consuming, but if you're growing the group to that size, then you hire someone to just all day long be dealing with that. And I like also how you mentioned in there really quick that you have somewhat of like a CRM of some kind, right? You have these people and you tag them. So not only are you saying, hey, welcome to the group, which no one does. You're saying, what's your challenge? No one does. You say, here's this content, this live stream to solve your problem. No one does that either. But even to make it even crazier, a few days or weeks later, then because they're tagged, you go back and say, hey, did you check it out? And I mean, these all seem like simple ways to stand out. And what I like about it is everything that you mentioned here today is if you're just starting, if the group is small, if it's growing small, you can handle it on your own. But then once it scales, once it gets to the size, then people can kind of follow what you and Stapes do, where once it becomes too much of a beast, you just have a whole other team do it and it becomes like a whole machine that runs itself. So I mean, I'm excited to to go and jump into more group building, or at the very least join your group and see how you do it. Because I mean, this is all very doable, and it's like a combination of the tried and true marketing fundamentals plus all these kind of exciting cutting edge things. So I mean, this is some awesome stuff we're talking about.
Thank you, Robert. Again, thanks so much for having me on, my man.
I'm glad to have you on. And so now that we have people thirsty and excited and wanting more, I mean, we'd be just, it would be almost criminal not to send them to your group or to send them someplace where they can get their wants, needs, wishes, dreams fulfilled. So where the heck can and where should people go to find out more about this crazy, cool, effective system you have?
I love it. So yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you'd like more, there's one of two places you can go. Number one, if you'd like to just join our Facebook group, you can just simply go to Facebook, search clients and community. We'll pop up there. We also have a link that's kind of like a tracking link for us. If you'd like to go through our full process and really see how we do it, you can go to buildyourgroup.com/day. That's buildyourgroup.com/day. And again, that's a tracking link for this show specifically. And then you'll be able to go through the full process and really get your eyes on our full methodology and how we're doing it. But again, Robert, I just appreciate being on, my man. This is fun.
I'm glad to have you on. And so as we're wrapping up, winding down, do you feel like there's anything that we missed in our conversation, or do you think that there's something that everyone just needs to know, like a little like marketing tidbit or piece of advice?
I would just say, just start, you know what I mean? Like for some of you, there's probably two camps listening right now. You probably got camp number one, that's like an already kind of established entrepreneur. And you're listening to this and you're just like chomping at the bit. Like, I'm going to go implement all this. And that's amazing. Then there's probably a second camp who's like listening to this and it's like, that sounds like a lot. That sounds overwhelming. You know what I mean? So if you're in that kind of first, this sounds like a lot camp, the best thing to do is just get started. I really feel like Facebook groups are they're so great. They're a great way to build a community right now, to build culture around your products and services. Another thing that's great about groups is they really mesh in well with other marketing strategies. Because some of you listening, you might be a YouTuber or you might be on Instagram. You might already have a following on another platform. The thing that's great about groups is they really mesh in well to other platforms. Like I know even podcasts where they'll have their podcast community inside of a Facebook group. And so if you're listening, you've got other marketing going on elsewhere, consider a group, get it started, and share your success stories and your wins inside of our clients and community.
Fantastic. And then it just grows and grows. So we will see you there. Go to Facebook while it's still fresh on your mind, search clients and community. And if you want to go through the whole entire process, that is buildyourgroup.com/day. Don't wait, do it right now. It's really easy to write something down or bookmark it and never get to it. While you're still on this podcast and listening, go there, spend those couple of minutes, join the group. Facebook, clients, and community, buildyourgroup.com/day. And Landon, it's been so great to have you on. My brain is just like burning up on as a wildfire with all these cool ideas. I will be joining your group, and I'm sure other people will be as well.
Appreciate it. Chat soon.
All right.